what to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know.
That was the great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. EZ BlueZ, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, whether you know the name or you are strangers, if you are revolutionists with unreleased snippets, you can still pass the peas to Zoe Kravitz and Chris Farley without being an American dirtbag. And really, if you dive deep into that whole statement right there, you can take what you are doing in this world and you can give back, which is one of the most important things out there. And today we are honored, we are blessed, and we are privileged to have one of the best MCs out there today, who is now focusing on giving back. And for that, put your hands together. Not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2. But mentally, put your hands together for the amazing, the fantastic Joey Bats in the house today.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. What a great intro, man. I feel like I should just bounce after that. I ain't got nothing to say after that, man. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you.
Of course. Look, man, because our paths have crossed 1.5 million times, but you know how much I respect you and everything you do. And we're here today to talk about something that's near and dear and now a decade old, which is amazing to hear. What is it like doing hip hop for the homeless for now a decade and going stronger and stronger every year?
Man, I tell you, bro, it's so funny. So like, it doesn't feel. First of all, it doesn't feel like it's been 9-10 years. It definitely doesn't feel that long. And because of the people that I share the tour with, and because of the nonprofits that we share the time of year with, the memories are so incredibly vivid that like I could pinpoint, and my memory is trash, but I could pinpoint specific like years and tours and memories and shows and sets, and just great feelings that re-energize and try to help you refocus and recalibrate every single December for the last 10 years. So it's super special.
No, it definitely is. And I love that you guys are doing that. But let's get real. What made you go? Because, man, you've got success in what you do. And, you're also doing what you do as the main hustle. And that's a lot of respect and honor in that as well. But, what made you turn internally and be like, hey, let me use what I have here and make it better for other people?
Yeah, I think it has to do with the main hustle for the people, for the folks listening. I am a school teacher by day. I have been a school teacher for over 15 years now, and I think that was what kind of made me think about homelessness different. I started, I remember all those years ago, a student was displaced, and I thought about it, and I was just like, okay, like maybe this kid ran away from home, spent a weekend at a friend's house, but sometimes that spirals out of control, and sometimes kids lose connections with their parents, and sometimes kids don't have a stable place. And then I kind of thought about like the archetype of the homeless person, right? And like it's not always an older person. It's not always someone who's fallen on hard times. Many times it could be a veteran who came back to their life in shambles. Many times it could be someone dealing with mental health issues. That's kind of what made me think about like, how could I help them? And I think that all those years ago, 10 years ago, I thought about my success as a touring musician, as someone who had exceptional relationships with independent business owners, with club and bar owners and managers and bartenders, and numerous acts and MCs around the state. And I said, I feel confident that I could do something in a very great scale with a lot of magnitude that would make an impact. And I'm fortunate enough that people have supported me, and I think people recognize that when I put my mind to something, and that when I try to do something, it's going to end up being incredible. And my track record speaks for itself, and people see the vision. So I'm thankful for that, and it's nice to be able to use our energy for someone else than ourselves.
And what a beautiful vision it is. It started out, dealing with like a one show type of thing, and a lot of people would be like, okay, every time around the holiday season, we're gonna put energy behind one show. Which, let's be honest, it takes a lot of energy to put a show together. But this isn't just one
Yeah.
show. This is what do you got up to 8, 9, 12 shows now?
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it never was one show. Even the first year we did 6. So we've always like tried to make it a tour. I think the first year it was not as successful because I was thinking about doing it like back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So it was like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like no one's coming out on like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, But now we have a beautiful setup where we're able to like break it into weeks, and we do a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So like that being able to break it up and then giving myself and everybody else like a couple of days to rest is way easier to manage. But to your point, the shows, like every single show, like back to back to back, has been super successful. And I mean, I got to give props to the people involved, as far as the DJs, as far as the MCs, the people that like actually come and bring it. Like I'm not bringing it every single night, not anymore. I'm in the building, of course, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like I'm just shaking hands and kissing babies, getting on the mic and thanking people like Russell Simmons, you know what I'm saying? But
And selling
these
t-shirts
people are like, yeah, facts. Thank you for that. Yeah, true. But like these people are coming to bring it, and like they're just like, yeah, I'm performing on New Britain on a Friday night. Boom, I'm trying to come out swinging. I'm trying to hit a home run. I'm trying to make tonight better than yesterday, better than tomorrow. And I think that is kind of like what we can be super thankful for, because it adds that essentially is what every single independent artist needs. You have to create events that people really should feel bad about missing out on.
And they are. I mean, because you can have at any point in time someone roll up through there, whether it be 50 by
Yeah.
50, or you have Chesky coming up on one of the shows this year.
Yeah.
And you usually have
Yeah.
Chesky every single year because it's Chesky and that's what he does. And as you were continuing to grow and stuff, how are you able to keep a lifeline in the scene that is growing and evolving and changing? Because hip hop now is not just a single genre entity, it is a multiple genre entity, and you are pretty
Yeah.
much you keep your ear to the pavement, so to say.
I think you need to. I appreciate you recognizing that. I think from the jump, my mantra has always been, how do you create something memorable? How do we have longevity? And in order to do that, you have to be mindful of, I think about it like athletics, right? You have to be mindful of your draft picks, if you will, right? So like I know that every single year I have to have like 3 to 5 artists that I've either never worked with before or who have never played the tour before, because in those hopes, and especially if they're younger, obviously younger than me, younger than 30, younger than 25, you end up creating a relationship with people and artists who see hip hop for the homeless, which is very different than the average hip hop show, especially the average local hip hop show. There's people check their egos, people check their pride. People kind of understand that we're all working towards something. Something that a lot of other genres have, that hip hop kind of is super weak in regards to, like, a lot of punk bands are supporting each other, a lot of metal bands are supporting each other. jazz, country. I'm sure same thing happens in those circles, but hip hop is a very, every man is an island kind of deal. But hip hop for the homeless allows us to build a community. So I think by being mindful of having younger acts every year and new acts every year, it kind of helps me keep my ear to the pavement because I'm always looking for new people to pass the torch to.
And as you are continuing to grow and pass the torch, who are the young and up and comers that you haven't worked with on this year's hip hop for the homeless?
Um, on our Bridgeport show, there is a DJ by the name of Chavarda, and Varda actually is also a performer, and she's incredible. And this will be her first time performing as opposed to just DJ, and so I'm really pumped about that. I've done a couple of shows with my friend East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be his first time actually having a set on hip hop for the homeless, but in the past he's had guest appearances, so that's pretty cool. I'm also trying to get Prolific 860 on one or two nights, and he's an incredible performer, and I mean he's not even old enough to drink, so it's always about figuring out what venue we could sneak him into, you know what I mean? So um those are just three of the folks that I could think of off the top of my head.
Right. Well, first of all, I know everyone that you just mentioned in there. I was like, oh, Varda's ridiculous. It's actually I'm
Yeah,
shocked that she hasn't performed on one of these before because she's ridiculous. That's
I
awesome.
know. She's DJed. She's just been
Yeah.
DJing. So we finally got her. We're finally gonna get her out there rapping and singing and doing her thing.
Oh, that's gonna be crazy and special. And everyone that's in Bridgeport at the time, you better be out for that show because it is something that you definitely want to see. And that is, again, you spoke about it earlier. These events, not just the entire event, but these events in a solo aspect of it, are all must-see type of events. You go out
Yeah.
there, it is this beautiful community. You've got your awesome shirts that are there. I've got mine from last year still hanging in my closet. I look forward to getting mine from this
Nice.
year because that's just who I am.
Nice.
Now, as you are going forward and moving forward, are there any spots you're looking to expand into, say for next year for CT, venues or spots?
As far as new markets and new
Yeah,
towns
new
and
market
cities and
and
stuff
new
like
market.
that.
Yeah, kind of because I know I don't know how well it would play, but I know Scottish Dave's might be a good spot in Clinton to try to do something
Okay.
there. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, the issue will always be time. The issue will be how much can we, fit into the time allotted, technically between, Thanksgiving with enough time before Christmas Eve so we're not making people go crazy, right? Or Hanukkah for the folks who celebrate that. I for me, when I talk about growth, it's less about physical and geographic locations that we could be into, and it's more about growing the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I think the brand has grown only so much from a grassroots perspective. I think that we need to do, and me, I guess, really, I have to do a much better job of trying to make us an official nonprofit and
Right.
protecting the name and protecting the brand and what we have, because then what I could do is I could have conversations with people across the country, right?
Right.
I could let people use the name hip hop for the homeless. I could let people, you know, throw a show under that umbrella where I wouldn't have to be on board and I wouldn't have to be, kind of protecting the thing that we've created. And for me, that is that's the legal step that I have to take, which would allow us to then not just focus on December, and we could have hip hop for the homeless events throughout the year because
Right.
folks need aid throughout the year, right? So that's something that I definitely want to get a place I definitely want to get to, and I think if we were able to do that, then I could have a one off, show in the middle of the summer. I could have a one-off in April. And then maybe by doing that, we can go to those specific cities and we could go to those specific locations and help out the people in those cities and towns who don't receive enough help or assistance or even publicity where something that we'd be able to offer them. So that's my homework. Once this tour ends, I'm going to be going, pretty gung ho for that for the next 8 months.
Well, and to help you with that homework, I'm a big fan of reaching out to people. So anyone who is listening right now, if you have any sort of real good guidance on how to go about the legal aspect of it, if you want to volunteer your time to help out and move this to that next level of generation, if you have a law degree and you're like, yeah, that's like two pieces of paper and a high five. We've got your high five. Let us know. And we will totally, get this all squared away and taken care of, because it is something that, even as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about how there are other ways to incorporate, because yes, hip hop for the homeless is great, but you are leaving the punk rockers are like, wait a second. So I was thinking about doing like a conglomerate of like everything else for the homeless as well, where it's just a show of complete and total chaos and every genre is represented. I love chaotic things like that, though. That's my brain, and so it's a little different. But as you're moving forward, what are some of the obstacles that you've had to go over? Because this is exactly, and I love how you've broken it down into the branding aspect of it. The show's called Behind the Brand
on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. Joey Bats is with us on Behind the Brand. Go ahead, easy.
Dude, that was smooth. I'm sorry. I got to give you
smooth like Joey Bats on Behind the Brand. Let's get it going, and the show must continue. Enough about me.
Go, baby.
But what have been some of the harder obstacles while trying to put something like this together, while understanding what the branding behind it really is? Because that's a whole nother, avenue that a lot of people don't understand. They want to put a show together. That's different. But when you're putting together a tour, and when you're putting together something that's now for 10 years has been self-sustaining enough that you can continue to go and do this, what have some of those incredible obstacles been?
Once again, I think that's a phenomenal question. I'm sure you have so many listeners who are also, probably considering like entrepreneurial stints and trying to really create something for themselves, and who are thinking about their own brand. And my number one piece of advice can be like, make sure you do good business always. Just do good, solid business always. Like no matter what, that's number one. And I say that to say, I've been able to build this up every single year. I've been able to sustain something for a decade because the people that support it and the people that help us offset costs and my sponsors, they're rocking with me because of what they know that I am capable of, and they know that I do good business. I wouldn't have, we have 35 sponsors this year. Mm-hmm. The sponsors are integral because they are offsetting the cost. So if a venue's like, yo, dude, you could have my space, but not for free. Yo, dude, you could have our PA system, but not for free. Yo, you can't do this. We have to pay for a door guy, a sound guy. We have to get 650, 750 shirts made every year, right? So like that's cost. If that cost comes out of the money we raise, we are inherently donating less money to the people who actually need money. So the pitfalls and the hurdles and the obstacles that I've dealt with have always been around that. People, corporations and conglomerates who would normally donate, sad to say, for a tax write-off, because I'm not an official nonprofit, because I'm not an official 501(c), they can't get that tax break and they can't get that tax write-off. So I'm thankful and lucky for the sponsors that we have who are willing to, write a check to offset the cost of a t-shirt manufacturing and don't expect anything in return. And I'm really thankful for that. And at the end of the day, I'm surprised that it's been sustaining itself for the better half of 10 years. And I think I know, to what I said earlier, that's why I know that it needs to change, because this economy is fickle. The economy, everything raises, and independent art is getting more expensive to create, and independent, you know, locations are getting harder to sustain, and that money has to come in sooner, and that money has to come in, greater than it's currently coming in. So I know that I'm going to face more and more obstacles for the next 10 years if I want to keep doing this. So that's why I really have to be able to walk into, a major corporation. I have to be able to walk into Bank of America. I have to be able to walk into Aetna being like, yo, give us money. It's a tax write-off. I'll do the work for you because you're not trying to be in the trenches like me. And that's our next step. That's where we have to go. Any issues that we've had in the past has been because we've been faced with difficult decisions on how to get around the business aspect of creating our brand.
Joey, what are some things about homelessness that the average person might not know of, since you've been involved with the community for a very long time now?
Yeah, I think that every single day and every single year that I spend time with them, I'm checking my own biases. I'm checking my own implicit biases and the things that I thought about homelessness throughout my whole entire life. I'll never forget being, 9 years old and saving up money and trying to give money to someone on the street, and like they didn't want it. Like, I think we have to understand that, like, not everybody who's dealing with a displaced situation or someone who's dealing with homelessness, they might not necessarily want anything from us. I think that they are in a period of change, and they're in a period of relocation and physical change, and they're just looking for means to kind of get back on their feet, and sometimes a dollar ain't gonna do it, and sometimes a box of food ain't gonna do it, or some long johns and some thermal underwear is gonna do it. So I think that we just need to be more mindful of the folks who are in those situations, and we have to treat them a little bit like they're our loved ones, because that could be us, and that could be someone that we care deeply about, because you never know, man. Anything could happen that
True.
would get you kicked out of your situation, physical.
That's so true.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
could be anyone, and you don't even know who in your own circle has been, unhoused at some point in time. I mean, I spent some time, living in a van because I came back from, the military aspect of it to realize I didn't have a house.
Yeah.
So you got to spend some of that time, and it was humbling. But you want to know something? All those extra nights right now are so much more comfortable, because I fought my way back, and
Yeah.
I earned my way back to be where I needed to be. And it's really what
And
it comes
and
down.
think about, right, Easy. We got to think about, like, the pride aspect of things. I think a big thing that we don't realize is, even myself, even for the last 10 years and doing something like this, I don't even have that many interactions with the humans that are impacted by homelessness or being displaced. They don't
Mhm.
they don't want to talk to me. I can't do nothing for them.
Mhm.
Me hopping into their life for 20 minutes, that ain't nothing, bro. If I'm
Yeah.
not willing to be there for them and their connect throughout their time, and if I'm not in it for the long haul, they ain't want nothing to do with me. And respectfully, I get it, right?
Yeah.
I get it. So I think we have to understand that these people want, they want to stay private. They many times they have to, they're looking for things that only professionals and people in certain situations can help them with. And I think that the people who really need our help are not the folks that we see every day. I think the people who are dealing with true homelessness and true, living disparities are the folks who are more hidden, and the folks who are
Mhm.
behind the scenes, and they're not panhandling. I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to realize when we think about the issue with homelessness.
Yeah. No, it takes a lot, and it's really, I mean, There is that moment where you feel completely and totally helpless. There's that moment where nothing is going to go right. There are points in times where you have no idea where that next meal is going to come from, and you have to fight that. You think anybody wants to ask you for help? No, that's not how any of us were raised. We all watch the same Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. We all, been programmed that same type of way, that asking for help was a bad thing. Being vulnerable is a bad thing. So then you're forced to be vulnerable. And then you're forced. And then you have a society that looks on you like you did something wrong when really you just existed and it just happened to be not your day. So if you can look a little bit more
That's
with
it,
compassion and
right?
open-heartedness, man, that's what we call to. So now now that we've completely made everybody on the radio sad, let's bring up some spirits.
I think informed.
And,
I don't think sad.
well, I don't know.
Informed.
I had half a tear in my eye. It was half a tear.
It's happened too.
Tear.
Don't get me wrong, but I think this information needs to be publicized because this is an everyday thing, and a lot of stuff right now, our everyday stuff is not getting cheaper. I mean, come on now, we're complaining about eggs this year, eggs, and like a couple years ago, eggs was inexpensive. Now eggs and just shoot, I'm afraid to breathe soon. I really am. So it needs to be informed.
I think the point, and I think that's kind of what Easy was getting to. Like, we have to recognize that there are professionals in every field. There are professionals in the field of eggs, right? Like, we have to recognize that in every single field, there's professionals. So if the listeners are sad, or if the listeners are uncomfortable because we're talking about something so real, you do not have to walk out of your house or get out of your cars and fix this. That's not what the call to action has ever been. No one man or woman is going to fix this overnight. I think the listeners and the people who receive this message, to your point about compassion, right? I think folks just need to realize, like, if I want to make a change or support this cause or any of the causes, I just have to make sure that my funds or my time or my donations are given to the people who are professionals in this regard.
Right.
I think that the point of Hip Hop for the Homeless is this year we're doing 10 shows. That's 10 different nonprofits.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. I do Hip Hop for the Homeless, and I spend time with these folks and these nonprofits once a year. I do this once a year, and like, trust me, I'm fulfilled, right? But in no way am I a saint like these folks who spend every single year, every single day with the folks. Like, that's the thing that I think I learned the most by doing this is, like, I have the means to give a pile of clothes, a pile of goods, an envelope full of money to someone who knows exactly what to do with it. And I think that is the thing that I would love people to recognize, is that instead of just, sending your money somewhere and not knowing where it goes, or giving money to someone on the street and not knowing if it's going to help them, or if it's going to add to a drug problem, or if it's going to end up, being used for something, inopportune. I think they need to realize that there are people in place who do this and who it's their livelihood, and they could help us out for sure.
And that's one of the key things, because you sit there and Hip Hop for the Homeless is attached to so many of those not-for-profits and so many to understand. For those that want to say, just go out and say they can't make one of the 10 shows. If you can't make one of the 10 shows, are you really from Connecticut? That's really what I got to ask you. I'm sorry. All right. I was a little egotistical there, but but if they can't make one of the 10 shows, what is your suggestion? How can they get kind of like in touch to either donate to Hip Hop to the Homeless or donate to one of your subsidiaries?
Yeah, so I would say that if you check out Hip Hop for the Homeless, hopefully there's going to be a link either attached to this stream or attached to the show somehow. Or I guess you could always just search for Hip Hop for the Homeless on Facebook. There's plenty of information on the flyer of all 10 nonprofits that you can get in touch with, that you can donate directly to. This year, we'll also have a GoFundMe link for everybody who can't make the shows, who want to donate to us specifically, and we'll make sure that those funds go directly to one of the nonprofits this year. So those are the two quickest ways if folks cannot make a show in person. I could always offer direct communication with myself in hopes that they could have an open conversation with me and I could point them in the right direction.
And now say they can't get in touch with you, but they do want to, as you suggested, do the research. How can we find the right spot so that we're not getting taken for advantage by someone who's being kind of slimy with our emotions?
Yeah, it's a sad truth. It's an ugly world, and there are definitely people who take advantage of either charity or people who find ways to skim money off the top of any fundraising opportunity. I would say that you just got to do the research, and they're a phone call away if you're old school. If you don't trust the stuff that you see online, a lot of these places are doing things for the huge population of the homeless folks. They might not be doing it at the capacity or at the level where they are considered truly professional. So I would just say, go online, send out an email, send out a phone call, and find a place that you are most comfortable with, because typically the larger the shelters, the harder it is for them to get away with doing grimy activity.
Right. No, definitely. And it's one of those top things that you can do, go out there and live with compassion and make sure that your research is done correctly, so that because
Yeah.
there's just a certain way about it. There's a certain, especially during the holiday season, you hope that every family has, that Christmas tree or that Hanukkah menorah memory, where everyone is happy, everyone is smiling and going about the day. But that's just not the reality. And I think as we continue to grow and we continue to push forward and we continue to evolve as a society, I'm starting to see, they just did the tiny house communities are starting to form a little bit further out into the suburbs aspects of it, so that there are less people that will be unhoused. I'm hoping that we start to see some of these, schools or churches that are abandoned get converted over. I think that'd be, working out real well. There's some malls.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. That'd be incredible.
But that's all going to come with time, and it's also going to be going with taking these times to make sure that every year you should be going out and voting and making sure the people that are out there representing, that are supposed to be representing you on a local basis, are actually representing your interests. And if they're not, you get out there and represent your interest yourself. I'll stand on that platform until the last air comes out of my lungs. But we really want to be that difference. We really want that thing. Change comes from within. And and that means you have to put a little bit of blood, a little bit of sweat, and a little bit of tears in there. And it's going to be worth it, because it might not be a better day for you, but it's a better tomorrow for that next generation. And as for someone who has got 3 in that next generation, I really hope that more people are sitting out there and trying to help out, but that's just me.
Absolutely.
What's on Joey's? Man. Double Dutch, people. Double Dutch. Double Dutch. Go ahead, Easy. I'm sorry.
No. That's fine. I actually had I had an air bubble stuck in there. So, go ahead.
That Zoom with the air bubbles is wild.
Yes.
Joey, what's on your playlist that we may not know of? What's the deep secret?
What's on my current playlist?
Yeah, current, and what's something that we may not expect? Let's switch it up.
Um, I've been spinning a lot of the new Aesop Rock album.
Okay.
Aesop Rock dropped, I think, like two Fridays ago. I've been playing a lot of that lately.
Mm-hmm.
That's been pretty incredible. Um, he has like a guest appearance by Billy Woods, so I kind of went back and started listening to like some old Billy Woods stuff. Um, that's been pretty cool. And guilty pleasure. Yo, ready for this? I've been
Yeah.
just like driving around listening to like the Interstellar soundtrack. Like just
It's a great
just
movie.
like yo,
It really
phenomenal.
is
Just shout out
phenomenal.
to Christopher no
Yeah.
like just listening to like orchestra, like
Mhm.
heavy strings and
Mm-hmm.
synths and just like being like in my own world and like hoping that like my car will just start like floating away. So that's kind of I kind of been on that, man. I kind of been on that, and like sometimes I went like when I'm in heavy thought mode and like heavy creativity mode,
Yeah.
I can't afford to listen to songs and music with lyrics because
Mm.
it just puts me into overload. So
Yeah.
Okay.
um being a lyricist, being a songwriter sometimes, and like an English teacher, and I'm like grading 100 essays a week, like
Oh man.
I get like word overload, and
Yeah.
like sometimes like my brain just like can't even, you talk about double dutch, man, my brain just starts going on its own. So
Oh, I'm
I
going
need
right now on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ BlueZ is in the building. Joey Bats is with us, and I really don't feel Interstellar soundtrack is a guilty pleasure. I think it's a true treasure.
Yeah. Let's
Honestly.
go. That's great. I
No,
love that. I love that.
it's a great movie. It's a great soundtrack, and I
Yeah.
love the fact that you also have those moments where you need to deal with an instrumental record, because now we can talk about it, because there's so many people so super mad right now that the phenomenal artist Andre 3000
Oh, the
made us
flute.
wait 17 years for a solo record, and the dude dropped a flute record, and I'll be honest with you, I love it, man. I jam. There's some stuff on there. I feel like I'm walking through Times Square, and like he's just standing on the corner with the flute and the echo pedal, and I love every second of it. Why do you think he took that crazy swing out of nowhere?
I don't think it's a crazy swing. I think that's the beautiful thing. I think that like, I mean, I'm gonna go like super deep, but I know you guys are here for it. Like,
Mhm.
I think that record labels, I think that society, I think that Hollywood, I think that anytime that we step into a role that is created for us, or a role that makes us money, we're expected to stay in that role. I think Andre 3000 does a beautiful job of reminding us of the duality of man,
Mm.
right? Like we are not singular organisms. We are not one note, one trick ponies. You know what I mean? Like Sylvester Stallone doesn't always have to be Rambo, but I mean Expendables like 5 or 6 is coming out. So like maybe he wants to do that. You know what I mean? But like I think that as artists, especially artists who don't always have to be on camera. Maybe it might be different for actors and actresses, but I think for recording artists, we have to be mindful of our own, spiritual and mental duality, where, it wasn't so like, oh my God, this came out of left field. Andre dropped an album and he's just playing the flute. He didn't even drop one verse. Yeah, bro. Of course he doesn't want to, he doesn't need to. He wasn't just a lyricist when
Yeah.
he was
Right.
born. He
True.
wasn't just a lyricist in his 20s. He's not just a lyricist in his 40s.
Mhm.
I think that's like, the beautiful thing about it. Cringe. I cringe when people think that like I'm just a rapper, I'm just an English teacher, I'm just this. Like I don't wanna just be that. Like not what I've afforded myself. That's not the life that I've created for myself. You don't just stop living when you become a father. You don't just stop
Sure.
living when you settle into a career.
That's
You
true.
don't just stop living when you get married. There's so many levels of us that I think the people who are one note, the people who are one trick ponies, I think those are the ones who end up falling into a midlife crisis. Those are the ones who end up really falling into a state of depression because they have no other means of expression.
Do you feel most people? Oh, not most people. I'm gonna label the group. Most fans, most fandoms, put their favorite artists into one box. They don't think that they're multi-dimensional all the time, like because they're so attached to that
Of course,
nostalgia that they had back into the day. Because they don't really think these people are
hundred
individuals and
percent.
artists in their light. They can't see. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like it's crazy. It's kind of like
And
your
I
favorite.
think that's
Yeah. No, no, I'm going.
it's
I'm
it's a
spaz. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
you're right.
Double
No,
Dutch. Double
dude, you're
Dutch. Go
you're
ahead.
one
Double
hundred
Dutch.
percent right. because I think
Yeah.
we expect them to do
Hmm.
something for us,
Yeah.
right? I think this is even what Kurt Cobain struggled with. I think
Hmm.
this is why you know some people feel like artists need to leave the earth before they age out of their role, because
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
we have them. They're crystallized. They're
Hmm.
frozen in time. Biggie Smalls is frozen in time for the music that Biggie made. Like,
Hmm.
we don't know what Biggie would have made in 40, at 50,
Right.
True. It's
right?
true.
Like we will never know that, right? So
Hmm.
so I think that, yeah, of course, like, think about the people who like Get Rich or Die Trying. Like, yo, that's my anthem. Every song on that is a banger. I'm putting on my G Unit, wife beater. I'm going to the club. I'm making
Yeah.
I'm making noise. I'm making moves, right? Like,
Hmm.
you don't ever want to see 50 Cent make any other music than that,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like you don't want to see that happen, right? So I think that people definitely set expectations, and I think that's the most cerebral artists um, kind of buck that trend. Whether that's Lupe Fiasco, whether that's Kanye West in a weird way, whether that's Andre 3000. Even I know people who are Nas fans who hate the stuff that Nas is doing with Hit Boy because they don't like his new sound. But
Right.
how
Mm.
do you stay where you are after
Right.
being in the game 30 years, right?
True.
Well,
So true.
and that's been happening like forever because I remember Korn taking completely out of the genre, but Korn actually has a record called "Make Me Bad," which is all towards the fans that wanted every single song to be like how things were on Follow the Leader, except now these guys didn't have to worry about every meal. Didn't have to, all these other issues that weren't there anymore because, they could afford good therapy and we're
Yeah.
feeling pretty good about themselves, you know? But now, their
Yeah.
fans are like, you can only make music that is sad, and you're only allowed to be sad while you're making that music. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's a lot, and there's a lot of pressure. That's why you've got a lot of people that get mad at Star Wars movies because it didn't end the way they wanted it to end.
Hmm.
So here's the thing:
Yeah.
if you want
So
that
true.
Star Wars movie to end that certain way, get up off your butt, get a pen, get a laptop, and write your Star Wars movie. Have it end your way.
Without Jar Jar Binks.
Without,
Don't
yeah, yeah.
don't
No Jar Jar.
include don't include Jar Jar
Don't Jar Jar
Binks.
Unless you're going to include him as like the ultimate bad guy that actually controlled the entire thing. That'll be a good thing. Be like, oh, really? It was Jar Jar the entire time? What a Scooby Doo ending! Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. I saw like this OG fan theory that was like, what if Jar Jar Binks was the smartest character in Star Wars
I'll
and like
believe it.
the ultimate
I would
Jedi?
believe that so much. It makes so much
Bro.
sense. It's always the person that you
I think
least
we just
expect.
hope for it. I thought we just hope for it because the character was that bad. There's got to be a better reason for this horrible character. And like,
Oh.
wait, he was a senator? What? Nah, I'm done. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
That's too funny, man. That's too funny.
But unfortunately, they are pulling the Apollo curtain on us right now. We're going to have to start winding things down. But we want to give this opportunity to you. First and foremost, we got to ask you the question we try to ask everybody. What is the one thing you are the most grateful for and feel the most blessed about in your entire journey? Whether it be in the field of music or in life in general. And two, how can people get in touch with you? How can they support you? And how can they invest in how you go forward?
I think the thing that I am most thankful for is that I've never been arrested for the millions of stickers I have up everywhere in the entire country. I've never been arrested for vandalism, which is amazing.
There you go.
And I'm thankful for my fan base, and I'm thankful for the people who know that I am a real dude, and that I that I live by the words that I say and the feet that I stand on. People could always check out the journey at Rap Joey Bats on Twitter, at Rap Joey Bats, at Rap Joey Bats on Instagram. That's BATTS. You could always check out the Hip Hop for the Homeless journey as well. And I feel great. I have a ton of energy. I don't feel anywhere near the age of 40, and I can't wait to do this for another 30 years.
Definitely. Joey, thank you so much for being a part of the program. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you again. This was a ton of fun, man. I really appreciate it.
No doubt. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Blues. And this has been Behind the Brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
The cave dwell, heavy like the rain cell. 2 for 5 puddles in the mud, but they age well. Yo, we rap about the things in his head, but they metaphors, baby, and they covered in depth. I'm talking bloody, indebted to his buddies till death. Homie don't do anything for himself, I'm all set. Heavy feet up on the pavement, fatso. In a dog-eat-dog world, tell me, where do the cats go? Fauna and flora make the earth squeak. When the Richter scale tips and the earthquakes, the earth beats. Erosion sprinkles boulders in the sand like birdseed. Echoes in the canyon, you heard. They built buildings that we stumble through. They built mountains, but they crumble too. Earthquakes come and rumble through. Them real mountains, they will humble you. Baby, build a sandcastle with me, so we can kick it on down and leave. Baby, build a sandcastle with me, so we can watch it fall apart with the breeze. Brain heavier than levees on scene. When they break and the dam spills heavy on me. Like Kool-Aid, red flavor on my white tee. I can't even stay fly, God, that's with broke wings. That's a dope thing, splitting like beams. When they thin enough, the visible spectrum isn't seen. So Beta Ray bounce back, Beta Ray Bill. This is Asgard's backlog with passionate will. I will Babylon backspin, that I'm hard. I don't like many earthlings or Martians on Mars. I just meditate to be great, let karma be God, so I could internalize all the comets and stars. This is Ursa, Major, the goddess, creator, Zodiac, constellation, planet, savior. We struggle in this life, most to chase paper, but that won't matter when you gotta meet your mate. They built buildings that we stumble through. They built mountains, but they crumble too. Earthquakes come and rumble through. Them real mountains, they will humble you. Baby, build a sandcastle with me, so we can kick it on down and leave. Baby, build a sandcastle with me, so we can watch it fall apart with the breeze. Baby, build a sandcastle with me, so we can kick it on down and leave. Build a sandcastle.